as much as we talk about mindset here, we haven't really strictly done videos about things like anxiety, depression, PTSD, mood disorders. It's really difficult to have that positive mindset if you're dealing with poor mental health. And with how many streamers struggle with this, a lot of us are looking for these resources. Your quest for these resources, or for a streamer community who provides these for you, might end here. So we're gonna introduce you to someone today whose entire mission on Twitch is sharing the stories of those who experience mental illness. Is illness like the most inclusive term here for mental health? I digress. Let's get into it. What's up, streamers? It's Ashley. We're all about helping you pursue your dreams and learn to stream. So part of learning to stream and building a really successful and healthy stream is learning how to have a better mindset. Mindset's really difficult to focus on if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, PTSD, all of the other things that are out there that could hurt our mental well-being. There's actually a really good resource for you that you should be taking advantage of. Let's introduce her. This is Marie, also known as Anxiety.
So, my name is Anxiety, or Marie. People refer to me as M. The whole idea of my channel is we're working on removing mental illness stigma, just like completely out of the conversation. And the way we do that, the way I believe that that's going to be done the fastest is through education. And the way we do that is there's 2 episodes a week that are dedicated to either an interview or an in-depth discussion on a mental health topic. So the reason that I started these discussions is because I was kind of doing all this research on my own anyway, because I was always curious about mental health stuff. I have a background in research. And so there was a moment in the back end of my life, which I'll get to, where I was like, I should be doing this for more people. I should be making sure that nobody else ever feels the way I do, and just removing anything that could make somebody feel lonely or less than or broken, and all those other like horrible adjectives that people do associate themselves with when they know that they're going through mental health issues. I don't want to see that anymore. So I was like, I'm gonna go and make the stop. And that's I think that's the shortest version of that.
That's amazing. I love it too, because it's so needed and it's so necessary. There's so many streamers who they struggle through these things, and a lot of us too, we struggle through it publicly, right? Which is really difficult. Yeah. So what was it like? What's kind of the why? What's the reason that you create this mental health content?
Yeah, so what happened was a few years ago, I remember the exact moment. I was driving in my car, and every part of my body was just like, you should just die. You should just not be here anymore. This is awful. This hurts. There's and a lot of people will describe this with depression. There's a physical pain that comes along with it. And I was like, I don't want this anymore. And then that same exact moment, there was a tiny little voice in the back of my mind going, well, what if there was a reason? What if you kept going, not for you, but for something else? And then I was like, well, this feels pretty horrible. If I could make sure that other people don't feel this exact, don't get to this moment, don't feel like this, don't feel like nobody could understand them, that would be great. And so that was the little seed that was planted, and that was about 3 years ago. And I had to leave I had to leave the job that I was in at that time, and kind of take a disability leave because I wasn't doing great. But depression, anxiety, myself, all of that got in the way of making any of that happen, and creating any kind of reality out of it. And then it was July last year where finally this idea, it was May last year, where this idea kind of started molding. I was in an office environment where I had asked to get a little bit of accommodation so that I could see my doctors. The office was really far away, my commute was far, and I said, well, can one day a week or every other week, can I come in a little bit later so that I could go see my doctor? And they're like, no, that's not gonna work for us. And so I kept trying to whittle down into what I could do to compromise, and then of course I was feeling horrible and like depressed and anxious and all these things. So that wasn't going away, and it was getting worse, and it wasn't being accommodated. And then that made me feel like I was more of a burden and all that. And so I came to a place where I had a full-blown panic attack at my job, like crying, couldn't breathe. And I'm very grateful at the time, actually, my boss like knew what a panic attack was. And so she helped me through it. But that was also the moment that the HR person came to me and said, hey, so if you could, I think you need to take some time off. And then I was like, well, this is it. This is the chance. I'm not going to just take time off and feel bad for myself, because that's kind of the thing that I want to do the most right now. And this is the only, I don't know when else I'm going to get the opportunity for somebody to go, you need to go and take like 3 months at least to not work and just figure out whatever the heck is going on with you. And I mean, like, I knew what was going on with me, but that was like the approach of the work environment that I was in. But that's like a whole separate story. But the point is, like, that was it. I went on a yoga retreat, and the idea of anxiety came to be. And the thing that I wanted to do that I felt like was really missing was, okay, how do we reach out to people? I saw a bunch of people on Twitter talking about mental health. I saw, you know, a bunch of blogs about it. And so everything that I saw did not answer the questions I had, which was, okay, how do I feel less lonely? Why do I feel like this? What's going on in my brain that makes me feel like this? Can somebody explain this to me in a manner that is not like all doctory and stuff? Can somebody, because sometimes when you go to a therapist or a psychiatrist, psychologist, and you know, they explain what's going on with you, you're like, cool, but how is that affecting me on a day-to-day basis? And I go home in between these appointments that I have once a week, and I'm alone, and I'm alone with my thoughts. And like, it's great if I take medication that's helping me, but that gets iffy. And so I just basically, yes, I found something that I was like, for some reason, nobody's doing this, and I guess I'm gonna do it. And like I said, I was doing research before anyway, because I have a background in research. I have a degree in history, and I did a lot of research in college for like a bunch of projects. Like all my side jobs were research related or scientific publishing related. So that was it. The other huge thing that I had to do was let myself write. And I say let myself, I think people with writer's block know what I'm talking about. I had to give myself permission to start writing about it. And that was the first step. And then that enabled the website to be built. And then that enabled the Instagram to start. And then and then slowly it came to a point where I was like, I'm gonna hit that live button. I knew it was gonna come. If I did not have these conversations live with people, it was a waste of time. If I wasn't there supporting people and letting them know, like, hey, you're not alone. This is what's good. Do you know that this is what's going on with your brain? No chemical mumbo jumbo. Like, this is just what's happening. And your thoughts are here and they're over here and they're firing off in weird places. And just basically trying to explain it the way I felt like I wish somebody explained it to me. And, you know, with a little bit of sense of humor that I also feel like it's often missing. People, you know, when they see mental health, they're like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about that. And often because it's a bummer. Yeah. And so it was just a matter of time. And I hit that go live button, and here we are. It's going to be a year, October 10th, which is World Mental Health Day. That was when Anxiety officially launched. And then I guess I became affiliate, I want to say, mid-November last year.
That's so amazing. I love that you started on Mental Health Day. That's so awesome.
Oh, that was, it forced me. It wasn't meant to be a deadline at all. But it like became one, because I kind of finished things up by October. And then I was like, I think this is like meant to be. And that's the thing. It was part me letting myself follow my gut and just being like, is this a sign? You know what? I'm taking it as a sign. I don't care if it actually is. I don't care if the universe does give signs or not. Like, I'm going to take this as a sign. And then I launched it, and then I was like, okay, oh, it's getting great reception. I got flooded with messages from people that I've known for years thanking me. And all I did that day was post on Instagram saying I'm starting a website to bring attention to mental health and to help people get more information that they need. And I got 5 or 6 messages that day from people I'd known forever talking about that, like just vomiting out their story that they'd been waiting to tell for this long.
I love that. And that's the reason that I love like you and your content so much, is that aside from being so obviously selfless, like you do this to help other people as well as to kind of like talk openly about your own experiences. I think there's a lot of power in that. But you also deviate from the norm of content on Twitch, which is very like gaming centric for the most part. And so I think for you, you do something so unique that a lot of people don't do, and that's why you really stood out to me and why I've just like been, I love you. I think you're amazing and doing amazing things. I can't with this coffee anymore. It's actually so old and cold, so we're just gonna, just kidding. I'm not dumping it. Who do you think I am? Gross. It's so nasty. Much better. Okay, so I actually called Marie out on Twitter literally months ago because Marie is doing so many things right whenever it comes to streaming and building a community. She's going after a specific niche, she's creating content on multiple platforms, and she's getting other people involved in her stream through her podcast. She's providing so many resources and assistance and just that like additional community space for people. She's really doing a fantastic job at this. And because of that, she's now starting to get opportunities working with companies, and she has people that kind of know her as that mental health girl. And Marie can teach you a really, really valuable lesson, which is to become known in the Twitch community. It's really important that you attack one persistent interest that you have and really create a lot of content about that thing. You become known for the things that you repeatedly do. So if you want to pursue something on Twitch, like figure out what that thing is and what that thing looks like, right? There's so much content out there, and so many of those people are just playing freaking video games, and that's what their entire stream is about. But imagine doing something just a little bit different, attacking like a different audience, taking a different route with your content. That's exactly what Maria's doing, and that's something that you can do as well. So instead of just playing video games, think about creating a space that solves a specific problem for people. This problem can literally look like whatever you want it to be, anything. It's easiest if you kind of think of something that like you're persistently interested in, because if you have a persistent interest in this thing, it's a lot easier for you to keep doing all of the research that's going to be necessary for you to help people solve these problems. But once you find this thing and you start creating content on it, you can create a podcast about it, a YouTube channel about it, you can create streams about it, and you become known as the person who does this thing. Now, we obviously do this with like streamer education and helping people learn more about pursuing their dreams to go after this like streaming career that they've got in their mind, but it doesn't have to be like that with you. It could be literally anything. There's this entire team on Twitch, right? And their entire goal, this is called the content acquisition team. The entire goal of the content acquisition team is to go out to places like YouTube or podcasts or anywhere where there is an established, passionate community, and to create a live version of that kind of content, or to bring that community in some way over to Twitch. If you can do this yourself by seeing what your persistent interests are, maybe there are great YouTubers or great podcasters that already have content over that thing, but no, you create a live show. Ooh, so you're a little bit different. You can still create that podcast and that YouTube and whatever else, but you've got a live version of the content as well, so people can get direct access with you. And yeah, this is a lot of freaking work. It is. Streaming is a lot, massive amounts of work. Massive amount more work than you think that it is right now. It is a lot. But if you choose a thing like Marie, you will start being noticed, you will become known, and you will over time grow an audience for that thing, as well as just have the like general respect of people because you're contributing in a way that is unique, in a way that's needed, and you're solving problems for people. So like, how do you find this thing, right? A lot of people get caught here. They're like, Ashley, I want to be unique, but I don't know how. What do I do? I have too many interests. That's like a way different experience when I can actually see the screen. So here's what you do, Dumpling. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna sit down and literally brainstorm an entire list of the things that you enjoy. Don't you hate when you start your computer and then it's just like 5 things have to start up at the same time? It's really cool. Normally it doesn't have to do this, but my C drive failed. I was working on Trello one day and I literally turned over to look at the dog, turned back, and I was in the BIOS and we could not recover the C drive at all. So the D and the E were completely fine. C drive just vanished. Like, hello? I can't do this. This is hurting my back too much. Okay, so first off, what you do is you actually get Evernote, okay? This is an amazing program. I'll leave a link for it down below. Then you create a note. And you say it's things I dig, things that I love. Write an entire list. I want you to brainstorm as much as you can possibly think of. Things that you've had a persistent interest in, okay? Things that you see and you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I would love if I could have that or do that or be that person. And then you put all of these things through this one question. Who would I be online if I made all of my content about this one thing? That is like hard to fit in the frame, but we got it. So you ask yourself this about all of the different interests that you have, and you say, okay, well, if I've got an interest in entrepreneurship, can I make all of my content about that? My response was like, yeah, but I don't really feel that super interested in just posting about entrepreneurship. Like, I want there to be some kind of element that brings in the other things that I'm interested in. So you do that and answer that question for every single thing. Think about what is unique about the rest of your interests that you wrote down that you could bring to each space, right? So if I'm thinking about self-improvement, can I bring all of these other things that I wrote down into the self-improvement space, and what would that look like? Find the idea that you have the most exciting answer for, the one that really gets your heart like going, okay? And then just to test out this idea, sit down and write out a bunch of content ideas for it. So obviously I settled on Twitch. Okay, hello, settled on Twitch. Then I went to Trello and came up with a bunch of different content ideas. And if you go into the YouTube videos Trello, you can see there's literally hundreds upon hundreds of video ideas. You wanna know, just like Marie, that you can come up with a bunch of ideas over this because you have a persistent interest in it. So that's how you do something unique and get featured in our Affiliates Who Are Killing It series. But obviously the next question is like, okay, so I have a persistent interest, I figured that out, I've come up with a bunch of content ideas, like how do I actually get this stuff started now, Ashley? I have no idea. So we can cover that in another video. Okay, down in the comments. I want to make sure really that I'm creating all of the YouTube videos on this YouTube are stuff that you've all requested and that you want to see and that would really be helpful and beneficial to you. That is my #1 goal, is just making sure that this is the best resource that it possibly can be, that I can possibly make it to help you. Okay, because I know what it's like to struggle and it sucks and it's really, really annoying. But I'm telling you, you can get there. You just need a little focus. And if you need some extra focus, go over to Patreon. There is still the group coaching you can get for $1 right now. That's not gonna last forever. Go over there and get it. Okay, we love you so much. All of Marie's links are down below. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!